right, folks. Here we go. All right, I'm having a great little. Oh, God damn it!
Follow Crumb. Follow Crumb. Follow Crumb. Don't follow Crumb.
Oh. All right.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, you were unmuted. Cool. What's up, y'all? Thank you for being here, Jerid.
Of course. Thanks for having me, bro.
How you doing, brother?
I can't complain, man. Life is good, you know?
Life is good. You are Jerid Yaw, right?
Yeah. That's
And
it.
you have a channel called
Yes.
Let's Mind Travel.
Let's mind travel. And then I'm not overly active on that channel. I'm looking to get back into it. But then me and my wife also do like vlogs and fun stuff like that. And it's Sandy with 2 E's, same last name, YAW. So that's where, you could, I guess, see more active content from me.
Right on.
Yeah.
So I had you on. We played poker recently, right?
Yeah.
And which is wild that like we have similar friends.
Yeah. Shout out Eddie Booze, dude.
Yeah, Eddie Booze. It's a small world. By the way,
Yeah.
Mark Sargent says hi.
Well, nice. Hello, Mark Sargent.
Mark Sargent said hi. I called him on the Strange World. You approach now. Most of my audience is flat earthers, right?
Okay. Right on.
Everybody here is pretty much at the end of the rabbit hole. And one thing I like to focus on mostly is how to go about like bringing up this topic without ruining relationships or just understanding where people are at. You know what I'm saying? Like having a little bit of empathy and understanding of what this topic does. So one of the things that I really love that you do is you have a non-triggering approach. I was hoping you can kind of elaborate on how you see the flat earth movement and what I don't know, like what inspired you to kind of to do a little like piece on it and get people to kind of look at it. And your approach was very positive. You don't have any negative comments on a video that has 500,000 views on your channel and 41 million views on your brother's, which is phenomenal. It broke through the algorithm, which is huge. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way you talk about it. I think we could all learn a little bit from that. So can you kind of give me a little idea of your approach on that?
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, first and foremost, it's about being respectful, and the intent is always just to explore thoughts, explore ideas. And I guess a good comparison might be, there's these people that stand on the corner and these religious, I guess we would call it fanatics or whatever it would be, but they're like yelling, Satan hates you and all this stuff. And they're trying to bring people into Christianity through making it seem like a hateful movement towards a lot of people, and that's not, I'm a Christian myself, and I don't think that's the way that it's meant to be necessarily. But the first video, just to kind of go back, that I did with my brother, I had told him about the flat earth theory or whatever, we want to call it, maybe like 2 years before, or a year or so before we made that video. And I had seen Eddie Bravo on the Joe Rogan Experience. And what really drew me into the idea was the things he was saying, the proof points that he had for that. And it just I was captivated by how, how much he believed in it, and like I had never heard of the idea before.
Dude, Eddie got
And
me on too, man. The way he talked
yeah,
about it so excitingly, like, and he seemed like he just didn't give a fuck. Like he didn't care how crazy he looked. He was just but like he had so much confidence, like, like we all have. At first, we're afraid of looking dumb. We're like, man, am I onto something? So like he seemed like he was very well, like he did the deep dive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Well,
I actually that motivated me. And then, again, to circle back to Mark Sargent, then I watched some Mark Sargent videos. And it like you said, it does seem like a topic that has craziness kind of fueling it. But when you hear highly intelligent and people that seem to be level-headed talking about it, it's much more palatable, I guess you would say, than someone screaming on a corner, the earth is flat, the earth is flat, like that would turn a lot of people off, I would say. But so in the video that I did with my brother, I just wanted to examine the points that made me think more about it. And the way that I wanted to frame it is it's an amazing theory to think about because of all the layers that it takes you into. And I think a lot of people this day and age are struggling with things. They're struggling with their place in the world. They're struggling with the belief system in general. Maybe they feel like an outsider. They feel like they're not understood. And I just wanted to show that even just researching this theory could bring you closer to yourself and could bring you closer to a belief system that could make you happier, regardless of where you come to at the end of the rainbow. The rainbow is going to be present to you and you're going to be able to appreciate that. Because for me, I was raised Catholic, and at the point where I saw Eddie Bravo talk about it, I wouldn't say that I was as much into religion, and I don't even want to say religion, but God or anything like that. And it just made me think more about that and deepen my relationship with him. So that's what I got out of it. And then once I saw the response from the video, how many people were really appreciating it, and the goal wasn't to make anyone believe it or to disbelieve it. It's just, hey, why don't you look at this through this lens and see what it makes you think about, see where it kind of takes you on the journey. And then I saw that because on that video, there was a lot of negative comments, not maybe a lot of negative comments, but people like, oh, this guy's a flat earth, weirdo and whatever the case may be.
on
So
your
I
video or Shane's?
on Shane's, I mean, when you got however
We
many
got
millions
41
of,
million, so there's gonna be some for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
and then also, people that want hate is always louder than love,
Well,
and people feel like that's the easier way to get attention. If you just tell people, I like that, oh, thank you. But if you put a hateful comment in, you kind of stir a pot. And that's what YouTube is, I would say,
yeah,
mainly these days, right? Is people looking for attention. But
sure. And flat Earth
I,
is like society allows people to, like encourages people to be mean and bullies to flat Earth. Like that's just kind of encouraged. So if people have hate in their hearts, they can easily see flat earthers as a good outlet for their hate.
yeah,
Once the PC movement starts saying, "Hey, flat earthers have rights too," and the media tells them that they need to have a conscience for flat earthers, then maybe they'll back off. But until then, society looks at flat earthers as a good outlet for that. And you're absolutely right. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, hurt people want to hurt people. So no one that's happy
exactly.
in life that truly appreciates existence is on YouTube saying hateful shit, So it's also a matter of understanding that whenever someone's being negative on the internet, they're looking for attention because they're not getting whatever kind of positivity in their life they're looking for, and this is their outlet. And
Sure.
to them, they've turned the attention for being negative into a positive, which isn't good. But so after doing that video, I really wanted to share and examine the the community, I guess you would call it, into another piece. So a buddy of mine, Joe Lombardi, who goes by Aztec Films, I've been working with him for years. He's an amazing documentarian. So we decided to put together this video where We would talk to people like Mark Sargent. I forgot the lady's name.
Patricia Steer.
Patricia Steer. We wanted to talk to Patricia Steer and a few others, and then go to a meetup and talk to people that were just getting into the movement, people that have been in it for a while, and kind of examine the psychology behind it, but also to kind of humanize it, you know, because it's easy just to say it's crazy and all that, but why don't you get to know the actual people and maybe what brought them to it? Because you might be feeling lost and you might be feeling a certain way that these people felt, and maybe the flat earth is something that brought them peace, that brought them happiness, that brought them purpose in life. And then you can look at it through a different lens rather than just saying, oh, this person's crazy. You know, like we're all looking for clarity on things, and we're all a little bit lost. If you're not a little bit lost, you ain't walking far enough, I guess. But just to really humanize it and put a lens on it that these are people just like you, and there's nothing crazy about them. It's just a matter of this is you know, an idea that came across to them as interesting, and once they explored it and expanded upon it, it brought them whatever emotion we're going to convey. So, you know, that was really the goal of it, and just to give it
honestly,
at
first for Flat Earth,
vision.
for me, I was a little like, I kind of wanted people to look crazy because I was afraid of it being true. So I'm like, oh, well, Flat Earthers have to be crazy. When I first looked into it, and for a split second, I'm like, damn it, these fools are actually smart, and I can't write them off, which is ultimately, I think, scares a lot of people. Who aren't ready to see it. Do you mind if I play like just the end of your video here, just from when you talk about Mark and Patricia?
It's your show, bro. Do your thing.
I was just hoping I can. All right.
Damn, dude.
I really love.
Looking at this makes me realize I need to lose weight, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Going back to 2018, man. That's 6 years ago, man. I know you're about my age, so like we're at. You know, I hit the 40 and I just gained 20 pounds. I'm the same way.
They came down to be a part of it.
So how do you feel about the meetup? Go right about here.
Hate crimes and sex crimes. We don't go to war anymore, and we can actually do what we were always capable of doing.
So when you talk about Mark and Patricia...
The meetup and interviews gave us tons of amazing content, and after going through it and putting this episode together, we decided to head to the beach to feel the breeze and give some final thoughts.
Really quick, after context, this video that he has, it was a meetup in Pasadena, 2018. Dave Weiss was also there. You interviewed, and Curious Jay as well.
Dan the Waterman. Shout out to Dan the Waterman.
Dan the Waterman, yeah. Love Dan.
I mean, it's obvious why people look at Patricia and Mark the way that they do. They're well-spoken, they're well-educated, they're charismatic, and when you have a conversation with them on the flat earth, you really do feel like you're getting the most potent information possible out of that conversation.
What's a wrap?
Even at the meetup, you know, you see people flocking to them, you see people asking them a million questions and walking away feeling satisfied and then sharing that information. So like Mark says, he's like the recruiter. You know, you watch his videos, you get a good bit of information, you go share it with people, you have these debates, you have these in-depth conversations about reality, and I'm really excited that they came down to be a part of it.
So how'd you feel about the meetup?
You know, the meetup was pretty surreal, I have to be honest. I mean, going into it, I really just wanted to interview some people, get some insight on what brings people into this movement, how it affects their beliefs and their life, their reality around them. But the variable that I hadn't anticipated was the fact that this video that I had done with Shane was the highest viewed video on YouTube regarding the topic, and it really was a huge moment for this movement. It put me into a certain light in the community that I didn't realize I was in. People were approaching me, telling me that the video changed their life and that they showed it to all their friends, and that really put some pressure on me. You know, it kind of made it difficult at first. I mean, right away people asked me, are you a flat earther? It was almost like I felt this need to say yes, And the truth of the matter is, even in the video that I did with Shane, I never say I believe in the flat earth. You know, I say that I love the ideology around it, that I think there's a lot of positive that can come from people learning about it. But I say several times, I don't care about the shape of the earth. You see that within this community, there's a lot of people worrying about like infiltration or outsiders coming in, and they're worried about people's motives. I kind of felt like that for a second. They were all worried about me trying to make a piece that was mocking the movement. And I wasn't expecting that, but you know, I think we got a lot of great footage. We got a lot of great conversations.
So what's your overall opinion about the flat earth moving forward?
So do I personally think that the flat earth is the ultimate truth and the answer, what's gonna bring us to unity and peace? I'm not sure, but it's a very intriguing conspiracy theory. Just like any others, it has layers to it. Take the JFK assassination. It's not about who shot him, it's about the government corruption, lies, and deceit. And when you start looking into that conspiracy, it opens up your eyes to so many things. And that's what the flat earth does. In talking to these people, it rejuvenates a sense of spirituality. It gives them a sense of awakening into their perspective. And there's not a lot of negative you can say about that. You know, everybody's looking for answers. Everybody wants to find the truth. We all want a sense of purpose. And this is a theory that provides that for people. And I'm really glad that we did this episode. And I really encourage everybody to look into it and see what it does for you.
See, I just love your approach on it. You know, you make a good point that people are really concerned with, are you one of us? Gooba gaba, one of us. And I think that has to do with a lot with how much, just how much contrast and how much shit people got just for looking into this. And so I think maybe, especially in 2018, people were really kind of desperate to have people on their side because it seemed like, 99% against, very select few. But in the long run, it really doesn't matter like what people's like specific view is on it. And I don't know, you have a way, I think you have a way of talking about it that just is kryptonite to anybody who's trying to find a way to give some hate. It's really hard to watch that, regardless of what your view is, to be like, hey, I just think there's some truth there. You don't make people feel dumb either way, which is really important. And you give people the benefit of you talking to them like adults. You're not force feeding facts down their throat. You're talking to them, saying and giving them the space to make up their own mind. And I think that's a really effective way. So
Well, I mean,
congrats, man.
Thank you, dude. And that was the goal. And thank you for sharing that part of the video. I haven't watched that video in a long time. And I feel like I reset a lot of the stuff I said at the end because I kind of forgot what I had said. But, just I guess it means that it all still rings true. And I don't look at it when people, like you said, identifying yourself with an opinion or a label or anything like that. I mean, it's like when people, even at the meetup, would ask me, are you a flat earther? I understood that they were at a point in their life, like you're saying, that they were getting some ridicule, they were getting judged by others. And if I were to say no, and that would have thrown them off a little bit, and I wouldn't have been able to get a really honest conversation from them. It would have put them in their head. But at the end of the day, what does being a flat earther mean? I mean, is it like a strict definition? Does it mean that I subscribe to only this idea? Does it mean that I'm open to the idea? Because no one goes around saying I'm a glober or like I'm a round earther or anything like that.
Right.
I looked at it like a flat earther is almost a term of I'm open to the possibility of it being something other than what they've told me. And when someone says that they're a flat earther, right away you at least know there's a certain level of research they put into this, and they have questions. They're a skeptic, and they're looking for something beyond what they've been given to in the moment. And that's what I thought was real cool, because I mean, ultimately it means I'm someone looking for the truth. That's what I got from it.
Everybody can relate to that. And that's regardless of if they've done their homework.
And
I always think of it like it's somebody that, like, I used to believe in the ball or in the heliocentric model, and now I don't. Just like I used to believe in Santa Claus, and now I don't. It's not really like a new belief. It's more of a subtraction of a belief that is no longer just there anymore. And I think a lot of people look at it like it's a belief system. It's this crazy fringe belief system, but it's not. It's just that we stopped believing something that is because we can't find proof, and it just happens to just like logically just turn flat because now it's back to the default, and
Yeah, and I think most people have never even thought about it, until I heard Eddie Bravo go on his conversation about it with Joe Rogan. I had never thought about it, but I am the kind of person that's a skeptic. I do believe that the truth is something that's, you know, oftentimes hidden from us. So I was open to it. Where I think if you tell somebody about the flat earth and that person has never even doubted what they've been told, they haven't even opened their eyes to the fact that they're probably being lied to, it feels like an assault on their intelligence. It's like, no, man, you're crazy. It's like, well, what's crazier, believing everything that you're told, or is it crazier to assume that, there's agendas out there that are dictating what you're being taught? I mean, like, do you think everything that they teach you in school is true? Do you think that everything that's on the news is true? Because it's typically those kind of people that want to assert judgment on others. Like open-minded people are never going to make you feel stupid for having a belief. I think what is the quote? A wise man finds more in a fool's, answer than whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to even get into it, but it takes a certain level of intelligence to entertain a thought that you don't believe in necessarily, I think is ultimately what it was. And the idea that, what you believe is right 100% of the time is crazy to me. Just like our palate changes every 7 years. I think it's healthy. It's healthy to analyze our thoughts and to think of what brought us to these conclusions, and to maybe be open to the idea that they're not what they were at one point. So,
Oh, you're absolutely right. We're always changing. That's why I never got a tattoo, because I know 7 years from now, whatever I got, I'd be like, I'm not into that anymore.
I know, man. Look, that's
no,
why.
but that's just me. I'm so indecisive.
No, that's why I drew all my tattoos. I
Hell
thought, well,
yeah.
there's a couple that I didn't draw. Like I got praying hands that they've been drawn perfectly. I don't need to put my rendition on it. But I figured as long as I draw all my tattoos,
That's
then
cool.
at least I can say I drew them.
Yeah. You don't have a tramp stamp of a dolphin or something. That's
Yeah, well, I drew it at least. What I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um,
But yeah.
So just so the audience knows, like, your brother, he's been quite successful, and that's kind of how this whole thing started with you. Now, was that the first time you talked about flat Earth was on his show first, and then from that you became, because I know he referred to you as like the conspiracy guy, because he did conspiracies, but you seem to like kind of tackle the more hardcore, I don't know, like topics, I guess.
I think I've always just been into conspiracies. I think for me, when I was younger, like 9/11 was the first thing.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of friends that shared the Loose Change documentary with me.
Right.
And then I watched like the Zeitgeist video series, or maybe there was only one at the time.
Yeah, I remember those.
Even like Tupac's death, as weird as that sounds, is something that opened up my eyes to things are not what they seem. Because like because who knows who really killed him, and why did somebody kill him, and is he dead even? Like, was a huge thing. Like, is Tupac alive? And
Yeah.
I remember just kind of a dumb anecdote, but when I was younger, I believe that once we die, we go to heaven and we can ask God whatever we want, and we can get all the answers that we search for. And one of the things I was so excited to ask God is, who shot Tupac. You know, I just want to know. Obviously, now it's like of non-importance to me. It doesn't matter, and once I die, I don't care about what happened here. But it's like since I was young, I just wanted to know the truth about stuff. And then once I started to distrust the government, what we've been told, then it just opened the floodgates. And me and my brother had always shared conspiracies with each other, or I don't even the term conspiracy, like I don't know if I like that, but had always shared ideas with each other that were more mind expanding and more looking at an exploration of what the truth is. So that's why he referred to me as that. I don't remember if before that I had even done a video with him about conspiracies. But I would say that video was pretty soon after I brought the flat earth up to him, because he was already doing conspiracy videos, but like on a much lighter note, like
Right.
Disney conspiracies or stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Danny, Laura. I mean, his videos are fantastic, and like, but yeah, they're very light, non-triggering topics, kind of catered towards more, I guess, late millennial Gen Z kind of culture. And you know, it's interesting that you said you would ask God about Tupac, because that's the
yeah,
reason why flat Earth matters to me. Is that like I always imagine if I die, that you know, if I get the answers, I'm okay with all the deceptions. If I was like, oh, you know, you lived a life and it turns out that the Federal Reserve actually was private, and like I'd be like, okay, they got me. But the one thing that would really piss me off is if I was up there and I was looking down and it was like, oh yeah, you thought it was this trillions of space and, you know, empty void vacuum, but it was really just you were the center in this dome. I think it would make me so mad. I would be so pissed off that like I lived a life with that paradigm, and I can't, you know, for me that's why this topic is just I can't get over it. I'm always obsessed with it, and how it impacts the society, because I know that I would have a different life just seeing the world like that. You know, not saying that Tupac isn't as important, but for me personally, like,
I
no,
mean,
but
you know, it was hey,
but
dude, you
still,
know, my apologies. I'm on this kick of like drinking a lot of stuff. I have to take just a quick, maybe like 1 minute break. Would that be okay with you, dude?
dude, that's perfect.
I just
Actually, I wanted to play the video of you and Eddie, Animal Planet, so I want to
oh
see
yeah,
it
dude.
anyway. So this is
Yeah,
a
man.
this is a song by you
I'm ready.
and Eddie Booze. Your thing. This is yeah, he's a fantastic musician. This guy Jerid, and Eddie does the beats and sings as well. And they have this new project called Animal Planet, and it's pretty cool. Check.
Carnivals and kerosene. Don't think, just stare at the screen. Cover your eyes for the scariest scenes. If it's funny, comment and share the link. If your Wi-Fi's on the internet screen, just watch out for the new high interest fees. And not the whole number and decimal thing. If you can't see, better get your spectacles clean. What's intrusive becomes convenient. Next is to dictate how you perceive it. Who even reads the fine print agreements? We just want elephants and bags of peanuts. What started in the coliseums happens today in the sports arenas. But no need to go out and watch from the bleachers. The chip they implant has a media feature.
Parade the elephants and dance them all around. Coliseum show, yes please admit 3. Carnage for your thirsty heart, you pay to watch them bleed. Jerid Yaw scream, everybody's on their feet. I throw somebody to the wolves already. How about the lions or the bulls? Maybe watch them duel. Get your snacks, get your gobbles, watch the spectacle of what they wanna show us. It's a circus written for us. Look over here, this is what you wanna see. Forget the truth before your eyes, listen to me. They tell us the important stuff is all conspiracies. It's a dream, pitch yourself into reality. Be or not to be. Question everything you see, hold it under scrutiny. Microscope the situation till you know for sure. Square in the square hole, circle in the space.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, that's a cool project you guys are doing. I'm really into it. Animal
Which
Planet.
which video did you play, if you don't mind me asking, dude?
That's the Elephant Parade.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
Elephant Parade is. I believe we have probably like 12 total songs, and
yeah,
that one obviously is the first one we put out. But that it's a great introduction to the project because the project is very much when I approached Eddie. I have only really done like when I was younger. I did punk rock music. You know, me and one buddy had a 4 track, and I would play drums and sing, and he would do all the guitar and bass, and I would do all the lyrics. Then I got into underground hip hop, but those are the two only genres that I had really experimented with. And Eddie is, you know, so musically inclined, he can do anything. So the
hmm
idea was to kind of mix genres and be more genre fluid. And I think that's an amazing representation of our mix of music. You know, Eddie's ability to produce just great, catchy music, and then the lyricism behind it. So, and it's also kind of ties in well with what we're talking about. The Elephant Parade is a euphemism or whatever you would say for the show that's being presented to us to keep us blinded to the truth. And it's a constant throughout the whole album, but it's
yeah,
almost, you know, like look deeper, man. Like what's going on beyond the elephants that they're parading in front of you. First off, it's sad that they're parading elephants, you know, but like
yeah.
what's going on aside from the circus? What's going on aside from the football games, the baseball games? What are the realities? So, but yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a great album, and I have the link to that video in the description. You guys are also on Spotify, right? Did you guys do all that?
yeah, dude. I believe on
That's tight.
Spotify. Originally, the idea is, and I guess what we've kind of gone with is just releasing one song at a time. So
Mhm.
I'd like to say there's 3 songs so far on Spotify. We have Elephant Parade, then we have a song called Monkey Sees, and then there's possibly one other. And then Monkey Sees, we also have a music video for. And I would say personally, that's my favorite song off the album. Just my personal taste, Monkey Sees. So I'm excited for everyone to go check that out. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I'm stoked. And you know, we're also going to be putting out like a coffee table book where it'll have all the lyrics to the songs, a little bit of insight in way of like podcasts that we're putting out for every song, and then art to accompany it. And the goal with that is not everybody listens to music the same, obviously, but there's a lot of people out there that don't take lyrics as impactfully as they should. You know, they just listen to music on a surface level, and maybe they've never listened to a song and thought, wow, there's subliminal meaning in certain lines, and they're saying
Sure.
more than what they're saying. So I'd like to get people into the idea of A, listen to music a little bit closer, and maybe get outside of what you're currently listening to because there's so much great artistry out there. So, you know, because once I heard underground hip hop and I heard the kind of lyricism that was out there, it was hard for me to listen to like what was being pushed on the radio. It's like,
Right.
wow, dude, like this is like bouncing ball kid bop music, and underground hip hop is like Shakespearean, you
Totally.
know, verbiage over classical music. And how could I even compare the two? So, you know,
Yeah, rap really got infiltrated like overnight. It seemed like it went from like Public Enemy, like just straight into gangster rap, and just 60 IQ points just drop like overnight. It
well,
seems
it's
like it's some of the content.
it's a
Um,
tool. It's a tool of the media. You know,
yeah,
the media is used to control us and to brainwash us and to make us believe what's cool and what's not cool and
right.
all that bullshit. So it's like, you know, of course they're gonna push stuff that makes people stay in the reptilian brain dimension
hmm
and not explore reality any further than that. Because I mean, if all you're doing is sipping lean and thinking about dumb shit all day, what are you actually going to be able to do on a deeper level? Probably nothing, but that's what they want for you. It's easier to control someone who's simple minded.
Yeah, no,
So
I agree. I agree. And music is a great outlet to get stuff out there. I see we have Alex Michael in the chat, conspiracy music guru, who does like wonderful
nice.
work on that. Yeah. Um, and he's another one that like I just think found a really great way of thank you, Justin Johnson, for the memberships. Appreciate all of that. Good stuff. Um, like finding different ways, unique ways to broach the subject. I have to ask, like, because I know you like looking into this, and is there anything that like popped out when you first researched flat Earth that like was like when did it go from something that sounds so stupid to like intriguing to look into? Like, what was there like a specific proof? Like, like was it like the CGI from no pictures from space, or was there anything that like really made you
You,
like, wait, what's going on here?
pretty much everything that I talked about in the original video with my brother were the things that made me intrigued. Like you said, the fact that all the pictures of the Earth are CGI, because that makes me realize I've never seen the Earth. So if I've never
Yeah.
seen the Earth, who am I to say what it looks like? You
What a
know?
giant red flag that is. That one,
Yeah.
that's such
You
like
know,
even if
it,
you're like against flat Earth, like people should be upset with that. Everybody should be upset with that, whether you love the ball or not. Like it's odd to me that like people that are like think flat Earth is stupid, like still like they should want to have a picture of the Earth just as much as a flat earther would. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we watch shows like Catfish, and the whole time you're saying you've never even seen the person. How do you believe they are who they say they are? And that's just like on a level of knowing somebody. We're talking about the planet that we live on. Like, if we're being catfished by NASA or the government, maybe that's something to look into a little bit. The other thing is like the Admiral Byrd mission in Antarctica. And once the government got involved in the ideology of them hiding something from me, that's when it's kind of like my tender spot. Yeah, once you bring the government up and then the moon landing and things of that nature, it becomes a much more intriguing deep dive to me because I know the government is lying to me. To what extent, I have no idea. I just assume everything is bullshit that they say. But I would say
yeah,
those few things are what intrigued me. And again, you know, Eddie Bravo, he just hit so many points that seemed valid, and that like you can't really argue with. Is the government full of shit? Yes. Have you ever actually seen the planet? No, because of these things. And then you go on the website and they tell you literally that these are all composite images. But those were the things to me, that made me think this is at minimum worth looking into a little bit more and kind of exploring the concept.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I would love to relive that whole experience. I get a little jealous of people who first look into flat Earth because I felt so alive um, during that journey. Because at first I was like, well, obviously it's not flat, because you would we go around, and then I'm like, other than everything I could think of had a good explanation. And then next thing I know, I'm just not sleeping for a couple of weeks, watching flight patterns, like watching every Antarctica webcam, um, like losing it, almost like, and and honestly, this was a time like I remember just constantly searching the internet for anything that just seemed palatable. And that's why, honestly, I'm just so stoked to talk to you because I remember watching that in 2018 and just thinking, okay, now we have something that's fast, it's well edited, and it's just palatable. And I just saw it as such a huge win when I saw what you did with Shane. Um, and I don't know, man. I think it's just amazing. It to me, it's the biggest. It's just the biggest thing. I can't think of anything that's more important than this. I mean, what you're doing, yeah, I mean, obviously stay humble, but like you're reversing like a lot of historian like zealots that are like Galileo and all these people that are just seen in this highlight, where now we're coming along and people are calling out the bullshit, which to me is just historically groundbreaking. And it's just such an honor to kind of like be at all part of this, talking with you, somebody that's had a huge, in my opinion, did one of the biggest damages to the narrative that they've been really trying to hide. That's got to feel pretty good and a little overwhelming. Knowing that 41 million people saw your spiel on flat earth. That's 41 and a half for sure. I mean, even Mark Sargent, he's mirrored your video, and that video on his channel has more views than half of his clues.
Yeah, it's funny, dude, because I had, and I appreciate the kind words, man. I think more than anything, I just hope some of the people that watched that felt connected or found the people that felt lost, regardless of any conclusion they came to on things, whatever journey it led them on made them feel more whole and peaceful, because that it's really about the journey. It's not about the destination. Once we hyper fixate on the destination, the journey becomes obsolete. But Mark Sargent, he put that video up and it was pretty much just, the snippet from Shane's video. Cause I believe it's like a 40-minute video, but the flat earth segment is like 15, 20 minutes of it. But I called him because he has his phone number in the video descriptions on all of his stuff, I know. And I left a message. I'm like, hey, dude, I saw that you reposted the video. I just wanted to talk to you about a few things. And the intent was I wanted to see if he'd be interested in doing the deep dive with me and my buddy Aztec. And he thought I was calling him to I don't even know if copyright strike was a term used at the time, but he thought I was calling him to take the video down. But I was like, no. When I finally talked to him
last night, I know he said that last night. He was all nervous when you called him. He was like, you're like, no, you can keep it up, but we got to do an interview. He's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, dude. And he was super receptive to it. And I mean, obviously I was grateful that he did
Mark's
that
great.
because I feel like I couldn't have done that video without somebody in it that was able to say things in a way that seemed educated, Mark, and then I'm so bad with names, man. I think is it Weiss? What's his name?
Yeah, David Weiss.
David Weiss, someone like that. I mean, dude, I talked to that guy for hours after that meetup, and it's just to deep dive into his thoughts and to be able to. You want to be able to ask someone questions, and you want to be able to get answers for things that feel hard. And we needed that. So they were great representatives of the movement to offer that to us. But
let me ask you this. Man. Do you have Dave's app, the Sun and Moon Zodiac Clock app?
I don't, dude. Unfortunately, I don't.
I love your style when it comes to flat earth. You are definitely on you march to your own drum. And it's really cool. You have a whole different you have I don't know, it's so uniquely you and your approach on this. You don't seem to be influenced so much by where this community is going, which is very cool. His app actually, I mean, I've used it as a tool to help people kind of visualize it. It works great. It hit top 10 iTunes utilities app this week, and which is fucking insane, in my opinion. It's so. I mean, it's up. I mean, this movement, it's starting to really hit a whole new stride of awakening. I think that the internet is not giving a fair representation of how many people are on board with this. I would have thought by now, since 2018, it would have been shit. Like the news would be doing huge damage control, and there'd be riots in the street, people demanding to go to Antarctica by now. That's what I thought would happen. But obviously that's not going to happen, but I think it's happening exactly how it should. And, all these little wins, man. And yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I mean, the news might not be doing that, but they're definitely pushing, what would you say, stuff to derail you from any kind of progressive thoughts, you know?
oh yeah, like putting a railroad on the moon, like all this stuff that's like we're going to Mars. Like it's just yeah, they're doubling down on the nonsense.
I mean,
And
it's definitely the art of war through media and the manipulation they have. But out of curiosity, man, a question to you, because like I said, for me personally, um, the shape of the earth is irrelevant to what the ideology has done for me, and I don't label myself or anything like that. But what has it done for you on a personal level? Like, has it impacted you on a spiritual level? Has it done anything for you as far as like interpersonal relationships? Like, what impact ultimately has the flat Earth had on you beyond the initial feeling
yeah.
isolated and all that stuff? Like, where you're at right now, what does it do for you?
Well, how about you and your like personal, like with your wife, for example? Did that create any tension or anything at all when you mentioned that you were entertaining this concept? Did that cause any friction?
Um, not not really, man,
That's cool.
because my wife knows that I'm that kind of a thinker. I'm that kind of an explorer of thought. And I would say like someone like my dad, for instance, like he's old school. And when I just brought up the idea to him, like, hey, Dad, have you ever even like thought of the concept of the Earth being flat? And he's very religious, so I thought for him, the biblical aspects would be something that we can start to have a conversation around. But he was very much like right away, well, Jerid, then how is this and how is that? And like he wasn't even
Right.
really open necessarily to having the conversation because he was looking at it through I was battling something when I wasn't battling anything. I was just trying to have a conversation around something I found intriguing. But my wife, I mean, she knows me, man. She knows I'm into conspiracies and I'm into finding truth. And I think the only time it kind of bothered her was when it became obsessive. Like it led me down a bunch of rabbit holes that, like you said, staying up for weeks on end. I don't think that's necessarily the healthiest thing to do. Like, however, it's hard not to sometimes. But
It's hard not to.
when it got
Yeah.
to that point, it's almost like, okay, what's the goal here? Like, what are you looking to do with all this research, and what is it doing for you, and all that stuff? But I think maybe those moments she got a little bit like, hey, maybe you should hold it back a little bit and whatnot. But other than that, when I first brought it up to her, she was intrigued by it. Because
Yeah.
she's open minded as well. So, but there
Well,
was
that's really
definitely
cool.
there was definitely people, man, that I would just bring it up as a conversation piece, and they felt attacked, and they equally gave me that energy in return. Like, well, how do
Sure.
you explain this? And then
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you have
you,
to have all the answers. Like, yeah, I
well, then
know
then,
it's.
then then you just say, well, in doing some research, what I found is this is evident. Like when people say, well, why can we see pictures of the earth then, dude? Like, it's like, well, I mean, evidently all the imagery, and I would encourage you to go on nasa.com, but it's composite images.
Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy. It's like, well, obviously, if you're not going to acknowledge anything I'm saying without calling it crazy, this conversation is just irrelevant to me. It's not,
Right.
art, trying to have a intelligent conversation with someone who's not open minded is like two idiots arguing. There's really going to be nothing that comes from it
It's
of
a waste of
value.
time.
And then they place an immediate judgment where it's like, man, I'm just trying to have like a conversation and see where it goes. I'm not on a corner,
Right.
like I said, yelling at you that you have to believe anything. But then I
Right.
think it also makes them feel triggered because they've never even thought to question the reality that they live in. They found a nice, comfortable bubble that works for them. And once you infiltrate that a little bit and you make them feel insecure in it, it's the defense mechanism that comes up, you know? But
Do you think that if somebody approached you with the subject before you even looked into it at all, that you would have been open to it? Or do you think it's something that it's really like a personal thing that people have to kind of do in their own time, and approaching people with this stuff like is, I mean, I think a lot of people like hope that they're going to see the change instantly and be responsible for it and get that instant gratification. Like, yes, I woke them up and I saw them change in front of me. That's kind of a fantasy I think a lot of truthers have.
yeah, I I think it's like pushing psychedelics on somebody. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can't push the psychedelic on somebody. They have to come to the point of their journey in life that they want to explore psychedelics. And I think the
Right.
best way to get someone to be receptive to your ideas is to get them to be appreciative of who you are, because they're going
By
to ask a
example.
question. They're going to ask a question that's going to lead you into the ability to have a conversation that's not judged. If they see you living a happy life, you seem fulfilled, you're getting something out of life that they're seeking, and they start asking you questions, and you're able to say, you know, looking into these ideas has brought me to a place of peace and understanding of myself, and it's made me happier. Then they're going to view the content matter that you're going to give them a lot differently than just saying, hey dude, have you ever thought about the earth being flat? That's just a no. No. And then it's going to seem like you're pressing them, like you're trying to convert them or something of that nature. But if somebody just really, oh, it looks like I'm here by myself now. What happened?
Oh, what happened here?
Dude, we
Oh,
switched
I don't know
spots.
what happened.
But I think it's a matter of
Yeah.
that, man. I think, you know, like even with my faith, like I said, I'm Christian, but I don't go out and try to convert people to Christianity. I just go out and live a life that, as best I can, that
Hmm.
God wants me to live, and be a beacon of example. And if people see that from me, then maybe they're going to ask me a question, or maybe it's going to lead them into a path of exploring the ideology more. But that's, you know,
Yeah,
if
that's
you're,
Immanuel
if
Kant. Immanuel Kant or Kant. I'm not sure how to say it. Immanuel Kant made that assertion that trying to change the world for the better exteriorly, like, is just is it's a waste of time. Like, the only way to really make the world a better place is to control the only thing that you can, and that is yourself. And just by living by example, um people will, like, I think you being you is would intrigue people more to the subject than, like you said, being preachy on the streets. I think the way you seem to just, like, it seemed to not affect you psychologically as much as I've seen it affect other people, including myself. So it's really kind of like I'm a little
it,
jealous,
it,
like how
well,
how easy it
to
is.
well, to be fair, because I have to represent like the honest nature of it. Maybe just the idea of the shape of the earth didn't put me in any kind of, and I don't want to say it negatively, but like any kind of a spiral or any kind of you know, this rabbit hole. But it opened my eyes to a lot of lies and a lot of perpetration being put upon me. And it did make me evaluate the nature of my own reality and my past and things like that. And, you know, it did force me to do a lot of intrapersonal reflection that led me through some challenging moments. But, you know, being comfortable isn't the way that you grow. Like, it doesn't feel good, I'm sure, for a tree to become this huge thing. I'm sure it's painful to burst through the seed, but you got to do that and able to provide oxygen for the planet. So, I mean, they do it,
For the
but
what?
for the
Just kidding.
for the universe, man, I don't know. I know it's funny. It's funny because when I did the video, someone asked me to like be on a live with them when we did the documentary, and I said gravity, and everybody got quiet and like freaked out on me and stuff and got mad. But it's like he's like, it's all right,
It's
dude. It's all right. You said the G word, and it's like,
I know.
okay,
I say
well,
the gravity of the situation. Yeah. Not the
maybe I
bending of
missed.
space time, just the heaviness, you know. I want to just make sure here, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, it did lead me into moments that were challenging to get past. But like I said, if I didn't have something to challenge my belief system and to make me really evaluate things, then I wouldn't have had the growth that I had in certain aspects of my life.
yeah.
So, and that's again what I found the most intriguing about the theory in general
Mhm.
is it has the ability to untether you from a reality that maybe isn't conducive to your true happiness. Like there's bliss and there's happiness. Most people live in a ignorant state of bliss, and there's not a lack of things that are going to give you instant gratification and immediate satisfaction in life. I mean, that's what's being pumped to you all the time. But to find longevity and happiness and peace is much more challenging. And in order to do that, you really have to evaluate things, and you have to come to a place of understanding with yourself, with your reality, with the existence, and for me personally, and I'm not trying to harp on it or anything like that. Everyone's going to be different, but the journey it brought me back on to, believe in God and a higher power. I think I don't know if I would have been where I'm at right now if I wouldn't have evaluated the theory and really
Big time.
explored those ideologies. And if it does that for other people, cool. If it doesn't, cool. But you know,
No, it definitely
yeah,
did for me. I was pretty staunchly atheist. And I, like I haven't hopped on to like religious God and or the interpretations of what that is in the Bible, but the idea of a creator, I think about every day now, and yeah, it's definitely a positive conspiracy. You don't see a lot of people writing songs about how 9/11 made their life great or how Sandy Hook is such a great thing, but you see people writing songs about how flat Earth has brought them to something higher, and it's nice that there are conspiracies that have a positive connotation to it. We're gonna do an hour here, so I have one more question for you, and that
yeah,
is
dude.
one common thread that I've noticed, I think, with 100% of people who have entertained the flat Earth concept is they have a prerequisite interest in conspiracies, as you said, 9/11, and so forth, and Tupac and all. Um, but like still like that interest seems to be common with everybody as like you kind of like stepping stones or like a staircase to get to flat earth. My question to you is, do you think that's necessary? Do you think somebody could look into this stuff, or do you think like you have to kind of like tip your toes into the deception water for something like this to even be palatable?
I think you just have. I don't know if you necessarily need to have a history of skepticism and look into conspiracies for a long period of time. I think it's kind of a mix of being open minded and searching for something. Like you can't find something that you're not searching for. So, there could be gold buried right underneath my feet right now, but unless I'm looking for it, I'm not going to find it.
Good
So
point.
I think that's what it is. But then
You're
again,
absolutely right.
but
Yeah,
but
no, if
but
you're
but
looking
but
for
but, but
something.
like but you are gonna be a lot more susceptible to being open-minded if you've already flexed that muscle of skepticism. You know,
Yeah.
because you do. Like most people, if you say, "Hey, have you ever thought about the Earth being flat?" They're gonna say no, and once you start saying things to them, there's just an immediate block. They aren't even gonna be able to take in what you're saying because you've just challenged a huge belief of theirs, and it's not even worth their mental capacity to further explore with you. You
Right.
know, so it is easier if someone is skeptical to things they've been told, but you know,
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
true. Like you
I, th- I
said,
think
if
I
you're
think
like
I think
when you're
it's
looking for it, it's like if I was shopping for a car, eventually I would find that car. But if you're not like in the market for a new, for something, you're not gonna go shopping for it. So I think that's a good point. And
yeah.
a lot of people like, I mean, it's the exact same thing. I was going down the rabbit hole, maybe just looking for something because the world seemed off, or maybe I was just trying to find distractions. I did not expect to go this far down the rabbit hole, but I'm glad I did. And yeah, man,
But
it's
and
yeah,
I would just to add on to that, I think that in 2016, 17, 18, most people, if you told them that there's a lot of conspiracies that hold weight, that the media is full of shit, that the government doesn't want you to be happy, they would be very close-minded to furthering that discussion because it hasn't been evident to them. You know, like
yeah,
if something hasn't touched someone on a personal level, they have a hard time expanding on the thought or even exploring the concept. But I think in 2024, most people think that the news is fake. Most people know that the government is bullshit. So it
you
is,
could thank
I think,
COVID for that. I mean, COVID might
you
have been
know,
like the best thing, like blessing in disguise. It
yeah,
really expedited that.
I don't see many people, campaigning for how the validity of a lot of stuff that went on during the pandemic anymore. But I do think that right now, more than ever, people are open to ideas.
Hmm.
Like most people right now believe in aliens. They think that they're real.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff. Like they maybe never even thought about aliens before, but now we got the government talking about UFOs and blah blah blah, whatever. But I do think that more than ever, people are open minded because it's evident they've been lied to. So if there was ever a time to usher in new thoughts for individuals, I would say that now is, like a golden age per se, or we're entering a golden age of people exploring ideologies that they hadn't before. So I think that's cool, man. I think, you know, there's
Yeah.
conspiracies that we talked about 5 years ago that people thought were crazy that now are almost like common knowledge, you know, like,
No, for sure.
so, but
Yeah,
who
no,
knows? Who knows what the future has to hold?
it's an amazing time to be alive. And like you said, yeah, this is the time of the awakening. Maybe it's Pluto in Aquarius. That's a theory people have. Last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. So that's what it's all about. Well, hey man, thanks so much for being on here, man. We're gonna keep it short and sweet today. I really enjoyed having you on. Thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out. It's good to see you, man. Look at all these all
Dude,
stars
you
in here.
got I hadn't really and I feel bad for saying this, man, but I peeked over throughout a little bit at the chat, but you got a very supportive community behind you here,
Oh, I
dude.
have the best.
I if I did a live right now, maybe a few people would come on and they would just talk to each other. But you guys are so interactive in the chat. So shout out to everyone that's been watching this. And then
Yeah,
this is again, it's another example of why I appreciate the community that you guys have built because it's very open minded, it's very engaging with each other, it's non-judgmental, and I think your
hmm,
chat, as I kind of look through it here, only proves that point more. So, thanks to
yeah. I got a
everyone that
great
tuned
chat.
in. Thanks for having me, dude. I mean, it's an honor to ever be asked to be a part of something that somebody else has created and put so much work into. So it means a lot to be a
thanks,
part of it,
man.
dude. Nah, of course, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you to Karen B for the super chat and Justin for the membership gifts. Have you seen my sponsor by any chance? Have you seen who I'm sponsored by here? I'm gonna play us out with a commercial from my sponsor. So anyways,
Dope.
yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.
Are you experiencing signs of discomfort or irritability while watching NASA and space news? Have you noticed your sense of reality becoming more and more blatantly and obviously shattered? Do you find your cognitive dissonance increasing more and more as you live life post-pandemic? Are you struggling to maintain relationships with friends, colleagues, and loved ones? Well, now there's Flatterall. Flatterall has been tested and proven to help aid in the awakening of the collective consciousness. Flatterall can help you decipher the truth from the lies that we were all taught. Flatterall can help cure symptoms of chronic appealing to authority, systemic brainwashing, excessive need for conformity, NASA fanboy syndrome, delusional belief of the moon landing, and diarrhea. Talk to your doctor today and see if waking the up is right for you. Side effects may include losing your family, losing your job, losing your mind, questioning your sanity, questioning your gullibility, questioning literally everything in your life, and diarrhea.
Follow crumbs. Follow crumbs. Follow crumbs. Don't follow